Hello, how are you? You lose weight, but that belly is still there, right? Sometimes it doesn't even feel like soft fat. It's a firmer, more protruding belly. And meanwhile, your arms and legs remain relatively thin. Many people call this a cortisol belly. But is that name actually correct? Does cortisol really cause fat to accumulate entirely in the belly? So the truth is that there is a very interesting relationship between stress, sleep, hormones, visceral fat, which I'm going to tell you about here in this video. And I'm going to tell you something you can do first thing in the morning for 10 minutes that helps significantly reduce this cortisol issue in the body, decrease fat accumulation in this visceral, central abdominal region, and helps you improve both aesthetically and metabolically. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do in those first 10 minutes of the morning. You're going to love it. Stay until the end. You won't want to miss it. Before we start, I want to ask you if you suffer from this big, bloated belly. How long have you been noticing this? Write to me down below. Is it just the belly that has grown or has your weight increased overall? Write to me down below. I'd love to see your comment. When we think about weight gain, belly, fat, not everything is the same thing. Many people forget that there is subcutaneous fat located just below the skin. When we squeeze our arm, thigh, or part of the belly, like that, the love handles, right? We can pull a fold and we can feel this subcutaneous fat below the skin. And it usually bothers us aesthetically, but it is less dangerous from a metabolic point of view. Visceral fat, on the other hand, is different. It stays hidden between the organs in the abdomen and surrounds structures like the liver, intestines, pancreas, and you practically can't squeeze it. It's a harder, more internal fat. And the problem isn't just where it's located, and certainly not the aesthetic aspect, it's what it does to our body. Today we know that this visceral fat functions as metabolically inflamed tissue. So it produces cytokines, which, in addition to various hormones and signaling molecules, can promote insulin resistance, increased blood pressure, higher cholesterol, and the risk of cardiovascular diseases. So reducing this fat is really very important, not just from a physical or aesthetic aspect, but mainly for health, longevity, quality of life. So, two people with the same weight can have completely different metabolic profiles, completely different inflammation levels, and even completely different life expectancies in relation to this. When we think about a big belly like that, it's impossible not to think about excess cortisol, and often this belly is even called a cortisol belly, right? Of course, cortisol is a hormone produced by our body. It's not necessarily an enemy when it's used correctly by our organism. And in fact, it is an essential hormone for life, right? It helps us wake up in the morning, it participates in the control of blood glucose, blood pressure, the inflammatory response, and it allows the body to respond quickly to situations of stress, fight, flight, survival. The problem appears when the body remains in a state of alert for weeks or months. In other words, when for a long time you sleep little, sleep poorly, live under constant stress, work in shifts at times when you should be sleeping, and use corticosteroid medication for a prolonged period. So all of this can alter the normal functioning of this system. And in these situations, excess cortisol can favor insulin resistance, increase appetite, especially for foods rich in sugar and fat, and contribute precisely to this accumulation of visceral central abdominal fat in more predisposed individuals. So there is an important detail because cortisol alone will not create abdominal fat. It interacts with diet, a sedentary lifestyle, genetics, sleep, and other hormones. So controlling cortisol is the foundation of all this, but we have to think about this as a whole, right? So I'm going to give you a tip here about the metabolic environment, right? About what you can do in these first 10 minutes of the day, which will help improve the correct secretion of cortisol at the moment you need to secrete it, to improve the other hormones of your day. Many people take the first 10 minutes of the day and use them in a way that is completely bad for our body. For example, picking up the phone and just staying there, scrolling, checking notifications, bad news. These first 10 minutes of the day are the golden moment of our day. These first few minutes after we wake up send important signals to the brain. One of the most important signals we can give our body at this moment is natural light. When natural light enters our eyes right after we wake up in the morning, especially a bright light, it immediately activates a key region of the brain that acts as the body's main biological clock, helping to properly organize practically our entire circadian cycle, our natural circadian rhythm. This comes from Latin, which means about a day. And when this clock receives light first thing in the morning, it synchronizes several important processes. The time of peak alertness, the production of melatonin at night, at the end of the day, it regulates body temperature and the normal rhythm of cortisol itself. It is important that we do, in fact, have a cortisol peak in the morning. This is normal, this is expected, this is physiological, and it is desirable. It is this peak that helps us wake up. The problem isn't us having high cortisol at 8 in the morning. The problem is continuing with elevated cortisol at 10 o'clock at night. So that's why exposing yourself to natural light as soon as you wake up helps the body understand what time it is and keep this rhythm more organized. 5 to 10 minutes already make a big difference, and when it becomes a daily habit, it's even better. So in addition to this issue of morning light, the ideal is that you manage to combine it with a light walk during this period. 10 minutes is a very short amount of time. It won't change your routine in terms of, oh my God, I won't be able to do this daily. It's only 10 minutes, but moving your body in the morning improves circulation, increases insulin sensitivity, helps muscles use glucose as fuel, and also reduces the time spent sitting throughout the day. Another interesting benefit is that physically active people tend to have less fat accumulation in the visceral and central abdominal region over the years. It's not that walking for 10 minutes in the morning will burn all that belly fat, but this small habit often triggers other healthy behaviors throughout the day. This has already been scientifically proven. So, those who start the day walking tend to make better choices over the next few hours. It's a positive ripple effect. Furthermore, when we get some sun first thing in the morning, we are able to activate vitamin D in its most active form in our body. And we know about the correlation between vitamin D and insulin sensitivity, how vitamin D can help stimulate more visceral fat burning that had accumulated there and improve this metabolic aspect as a whole, right? So it's a great way for you to manage to do this in a daily and consistent way in your routine. Furthermore, there are other things that help us reduce visceral fat, right? Sleeping between 7 and 9 hours a night is scientifically proven to help. Consuming enough protein to preserve our muscle tissue. Practicing weight training regularly. Doing aerobic exercise during the week whenever we can. Avoiding excessive alcoholic beverages, reducing ultra-processed foods rich in sugar and fats, and maintaining a healthy weight. There are also supplements that can help, such as omega-3, which has good scientific evidence for reducing inflammatory markers and can be part of this overall metabolic health strategy. Magnesium can really help people who have a deficiency in this mineral because it participates in many biochemical reactions in our body. And there is ashwagandha, which recent studies show reduces stress and cortisol. I have videos here on the channel talking more about magnesium supplements, which is the best type of magnesium, and even about ashwagandha. And I will leave these 3 videos down here in the description if you want to know more about them. So tell me down below if you already have this daily routine of doing physical activity first thing in the morning and getting some sun first thing in the morning. Are you the kind of person who, when you wake up, immediately opens the curtains, opens the window, and wants to see the light? Or are you that person who stays a bit in the dark, wants to stay there for a little while in the dark? You already know that's not good, especially the phone is not good. Tell me what your morning routine is like. I'd love to see your comment. Remember to leave a like on the video because it helps me a lot, and share it with someone who will like it, with someone who needs it. Let's expand our chain of kindness. That's what I want here with the channel. See you next time. Bye.